Recently, I've ditched doing 90-second gens and instead have my fun by going for plays. But even in a match where my perks get 0 value, I still get these kinds of responses, so I figured I'd showcase everything not to do in a match like this, so you don't feel like you have to play Skull Merchant to have a chance against those pesky survivors. So at the very start, I actually run into him and he fully exposes me, but the thing is I do have a little bit of distance on him, but I also have a safe window at main, and I also have a pallet to the right side here. Of course, I'm going to go over to the pallet because I don't want to have my teammates get pushed off of the gen if they're on it in main, but he does whiff here, but he also decides to whiff here at the window again. I'm not sure why he would swing there, as I really feel if you know that you can't actually get that hit as killer, don't take chances, especially early on. Getting a down very early on into the game is actually super beneficial, but he just kind of lost his chances there. And as you can see here, he's also defending a gen, but the other 2 survivors are completely unaccounted for. And yes, that gen does have a lot of progress, but again, the other 2 are unaccounted for and there are several other gens to defend. But also because I know I can be a little cheeky and decent in chase, I decided to kind of stick around the generator as well and contest it. But again, he's bouncing back and forth, as you can see, between that generator at the little shack, but also main building. But main building gets done, he does get it down in the process. However, I managed to sabo this hook just with a green toolbox. And these aren't even sabo add-ons, I just had the chance to do it. But again, if he got it down much earlier on, he could have had so much more pressure because he could have forced 3 options. He could have forced us the hook trade, he could have proxy camped, and he also could have tunneled as well. He decides to camp the hook slug because he thinks it generates pressure. But with everyone except the slug up, and all 3 of us completely healthy, and the gen right there is no pressure. And if he decided to continue downing the yin gen instead of chasing me, completely healthy off of the gen, he could have accumulated pressure in one of the 3 ways I talked about earlier and secured gen aggression. But he doesn't. And at this point, I'm sure he's flustered because he's making really minor mistakes, such as taking the pallet stun instead of baiting it, forcing him to eat the stun time, as well as the time it takes to kick the pallet, lengthening his chase and getting further and further away from a chance at pressure. And here's where he really messes up. I'm not sure why he's not using his ability, because if he were to use his ability, I would have no idea where he is on that TNL. But he does get the expose on me again, but I am at a pretty strong structure, shack. And then he manages to whiff, even though I've baked that window super far off. And you'll notice at this point, I'm not really taking any chances. When I get the chance to come across a pallet, I'm pretty much pre-dropping it because at this point, if he swings through it, I'm exposed and I could go down at any given point and give him that chance of pressure. But I don't want to do that. It's also late in game, so that means any pallet I come across is a free resource because most of them haven't even been used. For example, this pretty strong pallet that I had at the very start of the match, but I decided not to use it. And he actually does get super close here, but I do get the stun. It seems as if he had Bloodlust, but after getting hit with the pallet, Bloodlust gets reset. Him stopping to kick the pallet, however, means that I have the chance to run all the way back towards shack, and again, I get to use this super strong structure for free, and my exposed is up. Now the last gen has been done. I don't know whether or not he has Noed. It doesn't seem like it, but I do take the chance to utilize Shack Window, a super strong resource. And he is trying to fake it quite hard, but I feel like for some killers, you might just need to chase until it blocks off. But he's cornering me here, and he whiffs, but I try to spin him here, and it just doesn't work, unfortunately. It was close, though. And I also don't think I know where the exit gates are here, so I just have the TNL, the best that I can work with. And although I wasn't expecting it, he did use his ability, so I don't really have any idea where he is. I can only make guesses based off of how he's chased this entire match. But I take this opportunity to make some distance and go inside of the main building. And if you have enough hours in the game, you kind of have an idea that, yeah, a pallet will spawn up here, and again, it's in-game, so I can waste any pallet that I want. And here's when I noticed that the exit gate is actually in the corner back over there, and so I will have to loop my way around, but I don't really have much over here to work with. He also could have cut me off by jumping down, but he decides not to predict and just instead follows me straight. But we do have a pallet here. He respects it, which is something he probably should have done a little bit earlier in the game, but he takes the stun, and instead of immediately chasing me afterwards, he breaks the pallet, buying me just enough time to get straight out of the exit gate. And as you can see here, one of the people that was playing in my sub Swift wanted me to get downed so they could use For the People Buckle Up for extra points. And as you can see, my perks didn't do anything that game. I mean, the toolbox came in handy, but doing a sabo like that is pretty one-off, and I'm surprised he didn't just immediately drop as soon as he heard me tinkering with it, but it is what it is.